On everyone. So at this point I assume you guys all saw the top 10 list that just came out, top 10 auto, and if you haven't, go check that out, the link's in the description below. But with that, we begin the explanation video. This was also a tough one, just like last week's NAD video, and this also came out a little later. I usually put these out on Sunday, but this came out Monday night just because I've been so busy. But yeah, this one was also tough, just like the other one, just because there were so many good candidates, and so many good candidates didn't even make it, which is a real shame because I really wanted to put some of these other characters in there. But let's start. We're starting off with Ryuken, who is actually a really great character for this. Doesn't have any really weakness, though. Not a lot of raids have killers. Only very few have them, and he does have a 20 DR, and he's ranged. He's got really high attack, so he's really just a fantastic character. However, if you just DR him, which most people will for autoing, then it is gonna take a little long. It's gonna take a little long because all he has is high attack and 50% bruiser, which is still really good, but you know, it's probably not enough to make it fast. It's still a very safe character to use though, but really speed kind of sucks on that end. But yeah, great character, awesome. I still wish I had him. Anyway, moving on. I'm gonna be deleting these. I'm gonna be exiting out of these as I do them, just because it's like slowing everything down. Okay, Zangetsu and Yoruichi. We're gonna cover these. I'm gonna try to do this a little bit fast, this video, but Zangetsu and Yoruichi kind of switched places for this video and last video, just because I do believe she's a little better for autoing than he is. If you're controlling him, then it's him. If you're controlling the character, then I'd say Zangetsu is better. However, if you're not, having a paralysis is definitely better, just because they're actually stunned, whereas on Zangetsu, having a weakening is still good, but they can still burn you, they can still freeze you, and for that, really just that reason, I did that, because you can't really take advantage of Yoruichi's long stride flash steps with this. You can DR these characters. I've put a combination of DR and NAD link on them, and they can auto the droplet zones. It's really just awesome that they can auto the droplet zones, and pretty quickly too, because they have the moves that they have. They have really high attack. They have a natural NAD link. They have really high bruisers. She has 40. He has 50. The attacks are really high, and they have debilitating status ailments and a strong attack too. It's pretty much is shield. If you're not ranged, you're not getting past that. It's amazing. It's awesome. I love it. So that's these two. Come on, computer, be faster, please. Thank you. All right, I think the next one was, the next one was Tsukishima. So Tsukishima, a little bit hard to place, just because he also has weakening, and like I said earlier, paralysis is better. But the fact that he is ranged, which is kind of a double-edged sword, because if you're ranged, that you also get hit a little easier with ranged attacks, which even if you have DR, then it's still gonna do significant damage, just because DR, while it is good, it's not extremely effective against burn and poison. It still affects, although I think it does still reduce damage, but you know, it still hurts. He does have the NAD link. It's the weakening. The weakening and the shield move is what put him here. The shield move is fantastic, although with autoing, it's not extremely reliable because you are always going to get hit, but because he's ranged, he might be able to avoid it a little easier. He also has piercing normal attacks, which is very, very, very good for this character because it can inflict weakening and each one hits multiple times. It's basically like having Yama, who has flurry on his NAD. Well, this is basically the flurry of normal attacks. It's not flurry because each hit doesn't do as much damage. And you know, flurry, each hit does the exact damage it says. On this one, it does less. So, but it hits multiple times, which adds up to the 731 or whatever. But it's good because it hits multiple times, so the chances of inflicting weakening increases. Much like Ryuken, he was also, any ranged character is actually going to be a little bit slower when it comes to autoing. But you know, it's the price to pay. So what are you going to do? Then it's the character that I put at number 1 last time on the list, and for very good reason. This guy is pretty much a tank. I don't really need to explain too much about him just because most of you already know. He's just a tank. And his boost move definitely helps. It also boosts his defense, which already, you know, is pretty high. He already has DR. It's just 10 seconds of really, really good defense. But then it goes back to normal. His attack's also not the highest. He does have Flurry, and he does have an Espada Killer, which doesn't really take into effect of anything until you face the boss, which does help ending things a lot quicker if you're up against an Espada, but if you're not, it's kind of just a waste of a killer. Still though, great character. People still use him for autoing, although he's not as fast as he used to, but with stuff being tougher and his attack not being that high. But still, great character. Sajin after that, just because kind of on the flip side, he doesn't take as long as Kenny because his attack is so much higher, and he does have the natural link, the natural normal attack link. He also has an Espada Killer, which does kind of suck, but the whole Flurry definitely makes things go by a little faster because his attack is so high and you will be doing more. He doesn't have the capability of getting, you know, the damage reduction, though you can put damage reduction. In fact, for most of these characters, I recommend some sort of damage reduction. But for Sajin, I still do actually recommend damage reduction. It goes well with this character and it makes him last a really long time. And speed-wise, it's also really good. So because he inflicts so much damage. So yeah, it's a really good character to have. You could also, if you're gonna auto with him, I know technically it's not completely auto, but if you just start off using his special and then just let it auto the rest of the way, he is gonna do. He is gonna finish it faster because his last string is gonna have a better range, and it's just gonna hit enemies from afar, and it's gonna do things a little faster. So that's Sajin. Next is Ururu, and I really wish it would stop doing that. But yeah, next is Ururu, who is a healer and a character with no affiliation, which is nice, but reduced cooldown, which means she gets this healing, probably what, like 26 seconds, something along those lines. It's not crazy the amount of time you save, but it can come in handy, especially if it's autoing and you don't know what's gonna happen. It's possible. She also has a really high attack, 30%, no, it's 40%. There you go. I knew I saw 40. And her strong attack 3 can inflict freezing, though it's probably not gonna do it. It's still a chance, you know, and she does have debilitator, and it's still a slight chance that it will. It's also not bad in damage. If you do DR this character, which, like I said, I would recommend like a 2 DR links, maybe like 20/20 DR, and then a NAD Frenzy Renji, which would also support the cooldown and increase the NAD damage, which would be pretty cool. I should do a best build on her too. She's actually really interesting to build for autoing, but man, it can take a while. It can take a while if you're not going up against Hollows. If you're going for a really difficult quest, this character can take a while to finish the quest just because, again, ranged and her attack isn't as high as some of the other ones. She doesn't have the link either, so it can take a little longer, but you can never go wrong with a healer. And having a healer in this, and even in co-op, is just really, really useful. Next, for straight up damage, just like Sajin, is Yamamoto, the new guy, one-arm version. Really, really powerful, as you guys know, and won't have a problem. I know for a lot of people, if you actively put a quest on auto and just set it down and look at it, then you will notice that oftentimes you'll have to do a strong attack because characters refuse to break guard. They just don't use their strong attacks, or they use their strong attacks to knock out one enemy. For this guy, it doesn't really matter because thanks to Flurry, thanks to really high attack, even if it's blocked, they can just burn him down. It's really great to have. He does have the damage reduction stackable up to 76%. He does have a Captain Killer, which again, most of those Flurry characters do have killers such as that. But it's just a really great character to take on auto for high damage and really just a tank defense. It's great. Doesn't have the boost of the other ones, but he does have burn, which more than makes up for it. And he can't heal, but you know, because of the DR, you probably won't even need to, which is very, very nice. He also has a decent defense, not crazy good, but still really decent. And then now the next healer who also has DR. So this is like the best possible combination you can have. And for obvious reasons, you know, you get 76% damage reduction. You only take about 24% of normal damage. Maxed out, of course. You only take 25% of normal damage, and on the off chance you do get your health low, guess what? It comes back because you're a healer, and 30 seconds later you can do it again and again and again. She's also ranged, which again is a plus, but also the not low attack. It's actually a really decent attack. The attack, I guess she has Bruiser at 30, which isn't bad. It's gonna take her a little while as well, but she is good at keeping enemies away. I believe this is kind of a push attack. Strong attack 1 is kind of a push attack, and strong attack 3 is a really good like tornado at the enemy, so it pushes them back. So it's kind of designed to keep them away. If they're close up, you're kind of in trouble, but again, thanks to the strong attack 2, which is a heal move and has really good range around her, it's pretty easy to knock the enemies down. So fantastic character, fantastic to take on co-op. Maybe the damage output could use a little help, but if you chap here, you probably won't have a problem, though your strong attacks won't do nearly as much damage. And then, for very obvious reasons, Retsu's at 1. I mean, do I even have to say it? She has everything that the other guys had, except for the status ailments that some of these guys had, but other than that, everything is there. I did not take into consideration her special, because on autoing, you probably won't use the special, but everything else is there. High defense as well, damage reduction, it's all there. I'm not going to go too much into this because I already did with all the other ones. It's basically copy and paste the best qualities of all the other ones and put them into this one, and there you go. That's Retsu. Yachu, whatever you want to call her. Bloop. Alright, then there's the character page that got updated, which looks majestic. And then there's the characters that almost made it, but not quite. There are a little bit more than I put in my honorable mentions, and they're way more than this as well. I just didn't want to fill up the whole thing with characters. What a lot of you don't realize is that for honorable mentions, I just put down characters that are also really good. It's not like the follow-up characters, although some of them are, and they're still incredible for autoing. But a lot of people are like, "Oh no, that means you think little of this character." No, it doesn't. There's just way too many characters. Anyway, the next one that would have been on the list though is Noitora, who is, man, talk about tank. This guy, really high defense, although it doesn't help against keto or strong attacks. And really, like, the Nad Link is really good. Doesn't have poise though, which kind of does stop him from time to time. But he does have flurry, and he has one of the fastest Nad strings, and although not the highest attack, and he has the strong attack that's also a vortex move. So he would have been a very, 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 very close one. In fact, he did get a number 10 for a while, but Ryuken did beat him out. So yeah, that's Noitora. For those of you who are gonna ask, what about Noitora? Where's Noitora? People ask, where's this character all the time. I almost want to put chapter 432 in the book, but I don't. Anyway, that's Noitora. Byakuya, well, let's go to Nemu since she's already here. Nemu's another one there who I really wanted to put on here, but I didn't. But she would have been a great addition. Her killer is great. Her stamina recovery link is awesome because that means she doesn't have to worry about healing herself as much. And she is a healer, so she can if she wanted to. Or if the computer wanted to. 30 bruiser, decent attack, higher than actually Noitora's, and I believe, maybe not Kenpachi's. I think Ken's got 3 points higher, but he does have flurry and so does Noitora, so it doesn't even compare. Still though, really good character, really good strong attacks, and just a healer. It's really the combination of soul trait and strong attack 2 that just makes her really good for autoing, because it means she doesn't have to waste it on herself, and she kind of gets extra health back, which is pretty great. What's her face also has what's her face? Asane also has a similar trait, except hers is 25% and she's ranged. But Nemu does better damage, and ranged isn't always a good thing with these things, especially Asane's range, who's not the best character in the world. I'd say she has better range just because her attacks hit further. But anyway, that's Nemu. Byakuya, I also wanted to put there because of his shield moves, because he's ranged, and because it's very wide range. But you know, there were just other better characters. He is still really good for autoing, but the other guys are better. You know, plus his link, when as soon as he gets touched, one hit, he kind of loses the boost, and his Sultry is completely useless. So, bye-bye, Byakuya. I'm sorry. Though, look at him. He looks so cool. Alright. Okay, now I'm going to bundle in these two bundles of joy together. Kaname and Toshiro, who are basically not the same character, obviously, but they're very similar in that they're both strong attack recharge and they're both status ailment debilitating characters. I didn't put them in for the same reason as each other, I guess. This is for the same reason in that though having strong attack recharge build theoretically would be awesome for autoing, because then the computer can just spam them. The computer doesn't spam them. They use a strong attack to defeat one enemy, and they don't use them when you're surrounded. It's just random. And though it can be useful and it can prove to be really good, really good. In fact, I get a lot of people say that they auto stuff with Toshiro all the time. There's no telling when the computer is going to use the strong attack. It's just random. They can use strong attack 3 to defeat one enemy, and then immediately you get swarmed with 20 more, and all they have is the strong attack 1. So it's just not viable. Plus, if you do that and you equip them with full strong attack recharge, you don't have DR, and that kind of hinders them a little bit. It means they won't last as long. Though with his weakening and his freezing, maybe you get lucky. But they are really still good characters. They're just not viable for an ultimate thing. Next is Ayalopro, another character that came really close. Really, the only reason I didn't put him on there is because it takes 40 seconds. Everything else was awesome. Boosted Link, really high attack, great killer, high bruiser, boost and healing medic, everything poison, everything debilitator, fantastic. But the 40 seconds makes him a healer who takes just longer to heal. And yeah, that's really why. It's still a great character to use in autoing, and probably would have been really close with Noitora for number 11, but sadly, it's at 40 seconds. And then there's Kusaka, who also has the damage reduction stack to 76. The only reason I didn't put him on here is because his nat string is pretty slow. He does have a high attack string. Sorry, a high attack, but his nat string is slow, and ultimately that will do him in. Plus, his Captain Killer doesn't really do anything for him unless you're fighting a boss. They put the Captain Killer on there so he can be a counter for what's her name, for Yachiru. But when it comes to PvE, it's just a waste of a killer, and his nat string is very slow, which is really the main reason. But still, having a vortex move that's freezing is still pretty good, but with no frenzy, there's a chance that his attacks won't freeze anyway, even though he does have debilitator. But he's still a really good character for autoing. It's just that the other ones are better. That's it. That's the explanation video. Hope I don't get hated too much, but it happens. Anyway, I gotta go hang out with my sister and watch a movie or something, because fun times are had by all. Anyway, that's it for this. Take care.